In this video, we bring you the ultimate guide to a rock and go for West Coast swing. What's up, gang? Brian B.
And Miss Megan.
From West Coast Swing Online, the largest West Coast Swing website on the internet. If you haven't visited, please visit the site. This video, we're talking about a rock and go. So in this video, we're going to show you a couple different examples. Then we're going to go into detail in showing you mathematically how it works within your patterns. And then at the end of it, we're going to show you some practical examples. So let's cover this. Why do I like a rock and go? As a leader, it allows me to connect multiple patterns that I already know to make things more complex. As the follower, you need to know that that exists so that when you're led into it, you are not confused. So first, let's cover 3 examples of a rock and go. So number 1 would be there's unlimited examples, but we're going to give you 3. So if we did this off a starter step, triple step and a rock and go, triple step, anchor step. If we did it off a whip, a 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 with a rock and go, triple step and anchor step. If we did it on a roll in, roll out, I'm actually going to put Megan on this side. Roll in, roll out, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4 with a rock and go and an inside turn. There you go. 3 examples of a rock and go. So let's discuss what a rock and go is. It would, and I'm going to use a sugar push in this example just so you can see the footwork. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What's the next job for both of us? Anchor step, and you would be correct. However, what a rock and go would do, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we would bypass the anchor step for a 5 and 6, bringing the follower out on count 6 of a 6-count pattern onto her left foot. So basically what you're doing is, if you're using a 6-count pattern, you're jumping from the anchor step, which would be 5 and 6, right into count 2 of another pattern, and I'll explain. So if we look at this, again, I'm going to do the rock and go and a sugar push. Miss Megan's going to do, let's scoop there in the middle. Miss Megan's going to do the regular anchor. So if I did a sugar push, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and if I take forward for 6, I have just done my rock and go, right? Rock and go while Megan has anchor stepped. So you can see we're both on the left foot. She would walk, walk, but I'd already be in the middle of the next pattern. Cool, so if we did this again. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. I've brought Megan onto count 2 of the next pattern. We could go 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So conceptually, I want you to understand that a rock and go is taking the follower out of the anchor step into count 2 of the next pattern. So let's get practical. If we looked at a, what's this? This is a starter step. If we looked at this as a starter step, we'd go 1 and 2. Typically, we'd go 3 and 4, right? And so Megan will be anchored back on 3 and 4. I'm going to count this really weird. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Weird, I know. If we look at it from this side, we'd have 1 and 2. Typically, we'd anchor 3 and 4, correct? Cool, but in a rock and go, we're jumping out on the 3 and 4 and jumping to count 2 of the next pattern. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, anchor 5 and 6. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Cool, so if we did this again with our footwork using the starter step, right? If we did the starter step both as the follower, we'd have 1 and 2. Megan's going to do the regular anchor. I'm led into the rock and go. So for Megan to do a turn, she still has to do the walk, walk. I've already, in essence, done the walk, walk of my next pattern. So that's what's happening, right? Let's actually do that. So we do our starter step, triple step. I lead the rock and go. On the next 2 beats, Megan has to do the walk, walk, but I've done the rock and go. So I'm already in the pattern for an inside turn, a triple beat. There's 2 beats, and I'm anchor stepping while she's still finishing the turn, right? So the rock and go jumps you to count 2 of the next pattern. So first place that we can do it is on a starter step, triple step, rock and go, inside turn, anchor step. Now it doesn't have to be an inside turn. You could literally dance any pattern that you know. Triple step, rock and go, left side pass, off you go. Theoretically, you could do triple step, right side pass, triple step. That's a little bit non-traditional. I don't know if I've ever led that in my life. But we could do triple step, rock and whip, triple step, walk, walk. So as you see, it's an unlimited amount of things we could do. So that's one practical thing. Now let's talk about, well, let's say this. What in that scenario do you feel is the follower that clues you in that the rock and go is happening?
If we just went from the sugar push we were using earlier, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, in this rock and go, you give me a little extra, which means it's sending me just slightly further than I would go on a regular anchor, and then it's moving me forward into my next step.
So leaders, from that standpoint, there's a couple different ways to do this, and I wouldn't get caught into just one way, but I'm going to give you 2 different ways that you might see people teach. 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So we're connected. So I need to allow her to go back on that foot, right? I could go with her with my footwork into a pattern. I could also bounce away. So if we're connected here, I could also bounce away with my footwork. It doesn't matter provided I'm communicating to her through my lead. So where my body goes is not super important. You'll have teachers that say you have to do it this way or another way. Both are fine. Doesn't matter to me as long as the follower follows it. Cool. Second scenario, the one that I think is the easiest, and that would be in a basic whip. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, rock and go to an inside turn and an anchor step. And let's talk about why I think that's easy. It's because I have both hands on the follower, so I have twice the opportunity to connect to my partner to feed her information. So we did it again from this side. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. So now, what are the things I'm thinking about in this whip scenario? Number 1, I have to be out of the slot because Megan's going to need this slot for her turn. Number 2, I have to lead the rock and go. What do I do for the rock and go? I can rock with her here and then lead her out on a prep if I'm going to turn her. So with my frame, this is count 6 of the whip, I have to allow her and lead the prep. So wherever my feet go that allows that to happen is totally fine. I could also work against her with my footwork as well, where I kind of rock back. I find this a little bit harder and more advanced, so I like to go with the follower on that rock and go. So we do this one more time, then Miss Megan will discuss what she feels in that scenario. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We've jumped her to count 2 of the next pattern, triple step, anchor step. So what are you feeling on a rock and go in a whip scenario?
It is pretty much the same thing as I felt before. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. I'm getting a larger lead than if this was just a anchor step. I'm going to be led a little bit further backwards, and then I'm staying connected and going through to the next step.
So followers, in general, when you have 2 connection points, I'm going to put you, Ms. Megan's back to the camera. We have 2 connection points. This is number 1, this is number 2. The one on your body is always going to be the clearer one to understand.
Definitely.
Right? So here we have all these joints. Megan has to be connected in her fingers and her elbow and back muscles and all this stuff. Here, it's just the leader's arm, and Megan's going to use her connection point through the floor into that foot. So anytime that this hand is on your body, this right hand, followers, you're going to connect to it. Boom. Right? She's putting weight into that, which allows me to take her where she's going. Cool. So that was the second scenario, was the whip. The third one, and again, there's unlimited amounts, but if we did some sort of roll-in, roll-out scenario, 1, 2, 3, and 4, rock and go, triple step, anchor step. So what's going on with this one? I'm actually going to do it from this side. I lied. You're going to see the lead better here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's the connection point right there. What's Megan's job at this point? What is your job at this point typically?
I'm connecting into his connection in my fingers, and then I'm also making sure that there is some tension throughout the arm.
So at this point, normally we would leave this here and we both anchor step away from this for triple steps. You can see that hand stayed put. But if I had pulled this hand forward, I would have pulled Megan out of that anchor step. Bad idea if you're doing a basic, necessary for a rock and go. 1, 2, 3, and connect. So we have to master that connection point. Now, as we do our next triple step, I'm going to use this hand to set her forward on that. Megan is still doing what in this hand?
Connecting.
Maintaining connection. Why? So I can lead and you don't complain, right? So we go 1, 2, 3, and connect. And I use this connection point, triple step and anchor. So a good thing a good word I would use is you're going to be monitoring that connection from the follower's perspective. You're going to be paying attention to that and saying, does it stay in place? So this is why leaders, it's a good idea not to move this hand around too much. If this hand stays in place, triple step, and you're connected here, right, then you're going to monitor that and feel when I take you out into an unlimited amount of patterns. So, okay, quick recap. Let's cover the 3 different iterations we gave you. Like I said, there's unlimited, but we'll cover the starter step, the whip, and the roll in, roll out. So if we did a starter step, I'm going to do the rock and go. Miss Megan's going to do the basics. So we're going to go triple step, rock and go, right? And that sets me into the next pattern. Next one, we'll do the whip, where we did 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. I do the rock and go. So you can see we're both on the left foot, but Megan stayed back and anchored. I've jumped into count 2 of the next pattern. So I'm able to, as the leader, combine 2 patterns. And the final one was a roll in and roll out. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Megan anchor steps, but I've been led out. So again, you can see she's on her left foot, I'm on my left foot, but I'm already in the beginning of the next pattern. So the last thing I'm going to cover is the idea from the follower. Now that you know a rock and go, your goal is to not do a rock and go. What's your goal, Megan?
To always anchor.
Lowest common denominator. So you're going to do the most basic thing that you know how to do, which is anchor step. While you're concentrating on that good anchor step, it allows us as the leaders to have some connection to work off of, right? So Megan goes 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. She's thinking anchor step, but I've been able to take her out, right? As we're rolling in 1, 2, 3, and 4. She's thinking anchor step, but I'm able to pull her out. And then when we're starting the dance, we go triple step. She's going back into her anchor step, but I'm able to rock and go her back out. So there is your complete guide to rock and goes, at least conceptually, on how to execute them, what to think about from the leader's perspective. Anything to share from the follower's perspective?
Just stay connected and follow.
If it was only that easy. Cool, gang. Make sure you head on over to West Coast Swing online, grab a free membership, enter your email address. You'll be on our email list. You'll get our coolest stuff 2 times a month. And thanks for the support. Oh, our ebook. Don't forget about that. In the description below, we have a West Coast Swing ebook. It's the coolest thing we've put out. It is, 300 pages. I don't want to lie. A lot of stuff. There's a cool menu for beginners, connection, practice, styling tips, spins and turns. You name the section. Click on that section. There's an entire drop-down menu. Look for the question of the problem you're having. We have an article on it. If we have a video on it, it's linked there as well. And if you've got a question, shoot us an email, go to the website, click down the bottom, contact us, and we will see you again on a dance floor again
soon.